The joint research station known as Horizon Point floated quietly above the pale blue clouds of the gas giant Therenin. It was a place of learning, peace, and curiosity built by humans in the Thrixan collective to understand each other without borders or fear. For many, Horizon Point was a dream come true. For Marcus Hale, senior human engineer, it was also a headache he had proudly chosen. Marcus stood in the preparation chamber, adjusting the metal plates of his exosuit. The room hummed with a low mechanical vibration, a sign that the station's artificial gravity system was running at peak efficiency. He checked each joint, each latch, and each glowing power indicator with practiced hands. The exosuit wasn't only a machine, it was an extension of himself. "Everything looks good," he muttered. His voice echoed in the empty room. The suit responded with a soft beep, as if agreeing. Today was the first official demonstration of human high-gravity engineering to the Thrixan scientists. The aliens had asked hundreds of questions about humans since arriving on the station. But nothing fascinated them more than human technology, particularly the devices. Humans used to fight the limits of their relatively fragile biology. Marcus glanced toward the door. Somewhere on the other side waited Dr. Zelvor, the lead scientist of the Thrixan delegation. Zelvori was brilliant, curious, polite, and completely unafraid of asking questions that left humans confused or red in the face. Marcus smiled a little nervously. "Well," he whispered to himself, "let's hope today goes smoothly." He stepped out of the room, and the hallway's lights brightened automatically as they sensed movement. The metal floor panels felt cold under the heavy boots of the exosuit, but the internal temperature system kept Marcus warm when he reached the main laboratory. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The lab was enormous, large enough to test gravitational equipment, filled with consoles, floating screens, and spherical drones that hovered silently as they recorded data. The walls glowed with soft lavender light, a color the Thrixans found calming, and standing at the center of the room, tapping the end of a data stylus against his chin, was Dr. Zelvor. Thrixans were tall, thin creatures with 4 arms and smooth silver-blue skin. They had large black eyes, no visible mouth, and communicated through a mixture of vocal tones and color changes across their skin. Zelvor's skin rippled with bright turquoise as Marcus entered the Thrixan sign of excitement. "Engineer Hale," Zelvor said in a musical voice, "we are most honored by your presence. You are prepared for the demonstration?" "Ready as I'll ever be," Marcus replied with a friendly wave. Zelvor moved closer, eyes scanning Marcus with fascination. "I noticed," the alien said, "that the central structure of your exosuit appears exceptionally reinforced." He pointed with one long finger at the thick, metal stabilizer brace that extended from the belt area of Marcus's suit down between his legs and connected to the knee. "Hinges, it is very strong," Zelvor continued. "Thrixan designs do not include such a component." "Tell me, what is this strong thing between your legs? Is it a tool?" The lab fell silent. Marcus blinked. A few human researchers in the background coughed to hide their laughter. One scientist pretended to be extremely focused on a tablet. Marcus raised a hand. "Okay, Zelvori, that's a fair question. It's not what you think. This is the central stabilizer brace. It helps the suit stay balanced under high pressure. Without it, the exosuit would twist or collapse when the gravity gets too strong." Zelvori's eyes widened, always a sign of deep interest. "Ah," he hummed, "a stability tool. Humans are fascinating. Your species adapts to physical weakness with clever invention. Most remarkable," Marcus said with a shrug. "We do what we can." Zelvor leaned closer, examining the brace with one of his handheld scanners. More turquoise ripples spread across his skin. "The energy readings are impressive," Zelvor said, "and the structural density is beyond anything we have used. Perhaps the answer to several of our gravitational problems lies in this." Tool Marcus chuckled. "Guess we're about to find out." Zelvor gestured toward the far end of the lab where a massive door led into the gravity testing chamber. "We have prepared the environment," Alien explained. "We will begin at standard gravity, then increase in controlled increments. You will perform movements, yes. Walking, lifting, perhaps the squat motion humans speak of." Marcus blinked again. You heard about squats? Yes, Zelvori replied seriously. Many Thrixans do not understand the human obsession with this movement. Why do humans repeatedly lower and raise their bodies? Is it a ritual of some kind? It's exercise, Marcus said, laughing.
Strength training. Ah, Zelvori said.
A ritual of strength. Understood.
Ow.
The door slid open with a heavy metallic sound. Inside the chamber, the walls were lined with powerful gravity projectors, each capable of simulating forces that would crush an unprotected human. The floor was reinforced steel, and faint tremors buzzed through it as the system warmed up. Marcus stepped inside. Zelvori followed, along with 3 Thrixan assistants and several human researchers. The observation windows brightened as the glass polarized for safety. Begin at standard gravity, Zelvor instructed. The chamber hummed, and a soft vibration passed through the air. Marcus felt no change yet. He was already used to gravity shifts from past deployments. He stretched his arms and ran a basic movement check. The stabilizer brace clicked into position, locking the suit's lower half into a perfect alignment. Everything's stable, Marcus reported. Zelvori floated a holographic screen beside him, showing data streams. Proceed with controlled movement, please. Marcus walked forward. The exosuit moved with him, servos humming smoothly. The Thrixans whispered among themselves, fascinated by the way the heavy suit obeyed even small shifts in his muscles. Then Zelvori raised 2 arms, increased to 2 times standard gravity. The room vibrated again. Marcus felt the pressure immediately, his shoulders pushing downward, his knees straining. But the stabilizer brace absorbed most of the force, keeping his legs aligned. He lifted a weighted crate from the floor. The crate itself wasn't heavy, maybe 20 kilograms, but under double gravity. It felt like 40. The Thrixans murmured in awe, their skin flickering with patterns of admiration. Zelvori's voice rose. Engineer Hale, I must say your exosuit continues to surprise. Marcus set the crate down carefully. Human problems require heavy-duty solutions. The alien tilted his head. Your species impresses us. But we shall now move to the next level. The gravity increased again. At triple gravity, Marcus's breath grew heavier, his steps slower, but the suit held. Every movement echoed with metal clicks and mechanical strain, and sweat dotted his forehead inside the helmet. Still, he kept going. The Thrixans recorded everything. Then, unexpectedly, the room flickered. The lights dimmed. A sharp alarm blared. Warning, a mechanical voice said. Gravity fluctuation detected. Zelvori's skin flashed bright yellow, a sign of fear. The stabilizers are overloaded, one of the Thrixan assistants warned, before anyone could react. The gravity surged wildly, jumping from triple gravity to nearly quadruple. Marcus stumbled, but did not fall. The stabilizer brace absorbed the shock like a steel pillar holding up a collapsing building. The metal groaned. Sparks shot from the projectors, but the exosuit held. Marcus gritted his teeth, braced his feet, and forced himself upright. Shut it down. He yelled. Zell single quotes ver. I was already tapping frantically on his tablet. After several tense seconds, the gravity dropped back to normal. The room fell silent, except for everyone's heavy breathing. Vori stared at Marcus like he had just witnessed a miracle. The stabilizer brace, the alien whispered, has saved your life, Dave. And all of ours, added a human scientist behind him. Zelvori stepped forward, his skin turning bright turquoise again. Engineer Hale, he said softly. I believe this tool, this strong thing between your legs, is far more important than we understood. Marcus sighed. Please, Zelvor. For the love of Earth, stop calling it that. Zelvor blinked in confusion. But it is a tool. Marcus laughed helplessly. The misunderstanding was going to follow him forever. But today had proven something more important. Humans had strength not only in body, but in engineering, and the galaxy was beginning to see it. The gravity chamber stayed silent for several long minutes after the accident. The engines cooled, the projectors settled, and the hum of the power lines returned to normal. But the minds inside the room did not settle so easily. Marcus Hale stood tall inside his exosuit. even though his heartbeat was still fast. He kept replaying the moment that gravity spiked, how the entire room had pressed down on him like a falling star, how the stabilizer brace had groaned but stayed strong, and how the Thrixans had looked absolutely terrified. "Systems normal," Marcus finally said, checking his suit's internal monitors. "No lasting damage." Zelvori floated forward with rapid steps, his two upper arms held close to his chest in deep worry, while his lower arms tapped and swiped on a hovering display. "Engineer Hale," the alien said. "Your survival under such extreme conditions is nothing short of exceptional. You should not have endured that. No living creature should have." His large black eyes blinked slowly. "I must apologize." Marcus shook his head. "It wasn't your fault. Gravity systems glitch sometimes. I've seen worse in military labs." Zelvoria's skin flickered with pale blue, the Thrixan equivalent of embarrassment. "We believed our systems." "Perfect," the alien admitted. "Today we learned they are not." A few human scientists joined them inside the chamber. Dr. Lena Park, one of Marcus's closest colleagues, looked over the exosuit with a handheld scanner. "This stabilizer brace really took a pounding," she said. "Surprised it didn't crack." Zelvori focused on the brace again, curiosity overpowering his earlier shock. "This component continues to amaze. The sheer density of its construction, the way it distributes force. Incredible." Marcus chuckled. "Yeah, it's built for tough days. We tested it for 3 years before approving it for missions." Zelvori lifted his head slowly. "Humanity created this because gravity threatened you." "Yes," Marcus said. "And today," Zelvori continued, "it saved not only you but all observers." Marcus nodded. "That's why humans build strong machines. We're not the toughest species in the galaxy, so we compensate." Zelvori's skin shifted to bright emerald green Thrixan admiration. "Your species is truly inspiring." Before Marcus could respond, the station-wide intercom beeped. "Attention. We will now begin Phase 2 of the demonstration in 10 minutes. Scientists, prepare your equipment." Zelvori straightened immediately. "Phase 2 is essential. But after the incident, we must enhance safety." "Agreed," Marcus said. Lena frowned. "Marcus, you sure you're up to it? You almost got crushed." He shrugged. "I'm fine. Besides, this is important for our cooperation with the Thrixans." Zelvori made a small vibrating sound, the Thrixan version of a happy sigh. "Your dedication is deeply appreciated." Marcus walked out of the gravity chamber with the group, each heavy step echoing loudly. Outside, Thrixan drones hovered around him, scanning the exosuit from different angles. Human researchers followed, typing quickly into tablets. The accident had only increased the level of interest. The corridor toward the main lab was lined with holographic displays showing schematics of Thrixan and human technologies side by side. The exosuit was still the center of attention. Even passing Thrixan workers paused and watched, their eyes widening at the metallic figure. One whispered to another, "Humans walk inside metal shells." "Like living machines?" Another replied, "Their bones must be very strong to carry all that." Marcus pretended not to hear, though it amused him. Back in the main lab, preparations for Phase 2 were already underway. The Thrixans had set up a large platform surrounded by holographic markers. On the platform sat heavy objects, metal blocks, weighted spheres. It's a long reinforced beam. Zelvori explained, "Phase 2 tests your exosuit's agility and precision. Under controlled gravity conditions, you will perform tasks that require balance, timing, and fine motor control." Marcus looked at the beam. "You want me to lift that?" "Yes," Zelvori said proudly. "It weighs nearly 300 kilograms," Marcus whistled. "That's impressive for Thrixans," Zelvori added. "Such weight is impossible to interact with. But humans, we suspect you can manage." Marcus stepped up onto the platform while Zelvori and the researchers retreated to the observation area. "Begin at standard gravity," Zelvori ordered. The floor vibrated softly as the projectors activated. Marcus bent down, grabbed the beam with both hands, and lifted. The exosuit groaned, but he held the beam steadily at chest level. Thrixans gasped. The bright lights on their bodies flickered rapidly. He lifts it so easily. Is that the power of the brace? Or human strength? Marcus heard every whisper. Next task, Zelvori said. Rotate the beam slowly. Marcus turned his body. The stabilizer brace locked in, keeping his legs steady. The beam rotated smoothly in the air. Zell's single quotes verse clapped his upper hands together in excitement. Wonderful. Increase gravity by 0.5 increments. The pressure in the room increased, but Marcus continued rotating the beam. Sweat gathered under his helmet, and the exosuit's cooling system worked harder. Next, Zelvori said, place the beam down and lift the weighted spheres. The spheres were lined in a row, each heavier than the last. Marcus bent down, lifted the first, then the second, then the third. His arms strained, but the suit provided support. Thrixan eyes gleamed like black glass. Their skin shimmered with shifting colors, unable to hide their excitement. Marcus set the last sphere down and straightened. Breathing heavily, one more task, Zelvori said. Please perform the human ritual. The squat, Marcus groaned. It's not a ritual, Zelvor, but it is what humans do to show strength. Yes. Marcus didn't bother arguing. He spread his feet slightly, adjusted the exosuit, and lowered himself into a squat. The machine creaked. The stabilizer brace clicked as it moved. Marcus held the position. Thrixans leaned forward as if witnessing something sacred. Marcus rose again. Gasps filled the lab. He lowers his entire body and rises again. While under increased gravity, what kind of creature does such a thing? Humans, Zelvori said calmly, are built for adaptation. Marcus repeated the movement slower this time, then stood tall again. End phase 2, Zelvori commanded. The gravity dropped back to normal. Marcus exhaled in relief. His muscles felt warm and heavy, and the suit's internal readouts showed rising stress levels. Zell's single quotes vocally. Engineer hell. That was incredible. Marcus removed his helmet, running a hand through his damp hair. Glad you liked it? Liked? Zelvori said. We are overwhelmed. Your performance defies all expectations. Marcus laughed. Humans do that a lot. Zelvori tapped on a holographic panel. We have collected enough data to begin designing new Thrixan gravity-resistant suits. Inspired by your stabilizer brace, of course, Marcus nodded. Glad to help, but the moment of peace did not last long. The station's intercom beeped again. Alert. Unusual gravitational activity detected near the outer rings of Theranon. All scientists report to Central Command. Zelvori's skin flashed red. That is not normal, Marcus frowned. What does that mean? It means, Zelvori said slowly, we may be facing a real crisis. Marcus put his helmet back on. Zelvori looked at him with wide eyes. You intend to assist? Marcus nodded. Your people need help, and my exosuit is already warmed up. Zelvori's skin glowed turquoise with gratitude. Humanity continues to surprise us. Marcus followed him out of the lab toward the command center. Unaware that the next events would test both humans and Thrixans more than any demonstration could. The real challenge was coming, and this time, no simulation, only reality. The central command room of Horizon Point buzzed with alarm lights and tense voices. Screens floated in the air, each showing energy readings from the planet below Theranon, the massive gas giant that powered half the station's research. What was usually a calm swirl of white and blue now churned with strange orange clouds and violent gravitational spikes. Marcus Hale entered the room in full exosuit, helmet on and visor glowing. Thrixan scientists and human officers looked up the moment he stepped inside. Even in a place used to technology, the sight of his heavy metal armor shifted the mood. People stood a little straighter. Some looked relieved. Zelvori hurried over, skin flashing patterns of yellow and green fear and urgency. Engineer Hell, you arrived quickly. Marcus nodded. What's happening? Zelvori pointed a long finger toward the main screen. The gravitational fields inside Theranon are behaving unpredictably. Something deep in the planet is shifting, perhaps a pressure collapse or internal storm. Marcus watched the data scroll. The numbers didn't just rise. They spiked like blades, and that affects the station. How? He asked. Dr. Lena Park stepped beside him. Horizon Point orbits inside one of the stable gravity rings. If the ring becomes unstable... She hesitated. Marcus finished for her. The station could be torn apart, Salvori added softly, especially our lower laboratories. Thrixans do not handle strong gravity well. Marcus clenched his fists. What do you need from me? Zelvori led him to another display, showing a map of the station. A glowing red section blinked on the lower left. This area houses our main gravity regulator, the alien explained. It keeps the station balanced. But the recent spikes cause damage. Some Thrixan workers are trapped inside the corridor. The gravity inside that section keeps rising. How high? Marcus asked. Nearly triple the station's normal load. Thrixans can barely survive double gravity for more than minutes. They cannot escape. Marcus breathed in slowly. Triple gravity. Tough but doable in the exosuit. You want me to go down there? He said. Zelvora's skin became pale blue. We would not ask. But humans are the only ones who can withstand such forces. And your stabilizer brace makes you uniquely suited. Marcus nodded without hesitation. Show me the route. A collective sigh spread through the room, humans and Thrixans both. Marcus didn't realize how much hope the station had placed on him until he saw their faces. Zel. Vori accessed a control panel and projected a path through the corridors. Marcus memorized it quickly. Any structural collapse I should know about? He asked. Yes, Zelvori replied. Sections of the floor may be unstable. You may need to brace beams or move debris. Good thing I brought a metal skeleton with me, Marcus said lightly. Zelvori tilted his head. Your humor is appreciated in stressful situations. Marcus smiled beneath his helmet. Glad it helps. Without wasting time, he moved toward the exit. As he walked through the hallways of Horizon Point, he noticed how many eyes followed him. Thrixans whispered in their musical voices, glowing softly as he passed. Humans go toward danger. He does not fear gravity. What a powerful species. Some comments made Marcus laugh. Others made him think. Before first contact, most alien species saw humans as simple, emotional, short-lived creatures. But after today, things were changing. He stepped into the lift, and the doors closed. The platform lowered smoothly, humming as it descended deeper into the station. The lights flickered once, twice. Not a good sign. When the doors opened, Marcus stepped out into a corridor that immediately pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. He felt his knees stiffen, his back tighten. The exosuit systems compensated with a low mechanical hum. Pushing against the force? Gravity level, 3.1 standard, the suit's computer announced. Marcus grunted. Feels like it. Traces of panic filled the air-scattered tools, dented floor plates, flickering lights. A metal beam had collapsed across the path. Beyond it, Marcus could hear faint voices, weak, trembling Thrixan tones. He activated the external speaker. If you can hear me, stay where you are. I'm coming. A strained Thrixan voice answered. Human? Is someone there? Yes, Marcus said. I'm here to help. Be careful, another voice whispered. The gravity. It keeps rising. Marcus didn't waste time. He approached the fallen beam, placed both hands under it, and lifted. The exosuit strained loudly, gears grinding, servos pushing. The stabilizer brace locked into position, keeping his legs steady as he raised the heavy metal. Slowly, inch by inch, he lifted it high enough to walk under. He held it with one hand while guiding the crushed frame aside. Inside the damaged area were 3 Thrixan workers, 2 lying on the floor, 1 slumped against a wall. Their skin flickered with dim colors, signs of exhaustion and pain. The third worker blinked weakly at him. A human. Came for us? Marcus crouched carefully beside them. Even kneeling was difficult under the gravity load. We don't leave people behind, he said firmly. Let me get you out. He gathered one of the Thrixons gently in his arms. The alien felt shockingly light compared to the weight of the suit, but under triple gravity, even light things became heavy. Marcus felt the pressure burn down his spine. The exosuit's voice spoke again. Warning. Strain thresholds increasing. Yeah, I can feel that, Marcus muttered, using slow, steady steps. He carried the first Thrixon back through the corridor, under the lifted beam, and toward the safer zone. Station medics rushed. Over to receive the alien, Marcus didn't stop. He turned around and went back for the second. One, then the third. Each trip grew harder. The gravity felt heavier with every minute. Sweat rolled down his back, inside the suit's padding. His breaths grew shorter, but he kept moving. On the final trip, the station shook violently. The lights flickered red. A loud cracking noise echoed from above. Marcus looked up just in time to see a massive ceiling. The panel break loose. It fell straight toward him. He didn't think he reacted. He held out his arms, braced his legs, and caught the falling panel with the exosuit's reinforced shoulders. The impact forced him to his knees, metal screeching under the pressure. The stabilizer brace groaned. Sparks flew from the joints, but it held. Marcus shouted through clenched teeth, "Move! Get to safety." The Thrixon workers crawled away as fast as they could. When they were clear, Marcus pushed upward with all his strength. The panel lifted slowly until he shoved it aside. The corridor went still again. Zalvoria's voice crackled through the communicator. "Engineer Hale, are you still functional?" Marcus breathed hard. "I'm fine. The workers are safe." There was a moment of stunned silence from the other end. Then Zalvor said quietly, "Humanity has proven something today. Something the galaxy has never seen." Marcus didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "You risked your life for people you barely know," Zalvori said. "And you did it with strength. Even machines struggle to provide." Marcus shook his head. "Anyone would have done it." "No," Zalvor replied firmly. "Only humans would." Marcus didn't know what to say. He felt awkward receiving praise. But there was no time to think another part of the station needed help. "And the gravity regulator still needed repair? Send me the next location," he said softly. Zalvori's skin shimmered with bright turquoise on the other end of the call. "Yes. Engineer Hale, we will guide you." As Marcus moved deeper into the damaged section, whispers began to spread across Horizon Point. Thrixon workers told each other stories with awe. The human lifted a beam. He caught falling metal. He walked through gravity that would flatten us. Rumors grew like wildfire. Humanity's reputation was changing. Fast. And Marcus had no idea that his actions today would echo all the way to the Thrixon Council homeworld. The station crisis was just beginning, and so was humanity's legend. The deeper Marcus Hale traveled into the damaged wing of Horizon Point, the stronger the gravity became. Each step felt like walking with a mountain pressing on his shoulders. The exosuit's servos whined constantly, and the stabilizer brace vibrated as it fought to keep his lower body steady. But Marcus didn't stop. Zora guided him through the communicator, their voice filled with stress and determination. "You are approaching the core gravity regulator chamber," Zalvor said. "The readings are unstable. Gravity may fluctuate without warning." Marcus tightened his grip on the rail. "Got it? Anything else I should know?" There was silence for a moment before Zalvori replied, "Yes. 2 Thrixon engineers are trapped inside. Their life signs are weak." Marcus pushed forward. The corridor ahead was twisted walls bent inward, floor plates warped, and sparks jumping from torn cables. Sometimes the lights flickered so weakly he could barely see. The suit's readings flashed on his helmet. Visor dot gravity level, 3.4 standard warning. Joint strain increasing. Cooling systems at 60%. Marcus exhaled. "Still manageable," he said to himself as he stepped into a wider portion of the corridor. He froze. A giant support beam had collapsed across the passage, blocking the route completely. Under normal gravity, it would be heavy. But under triple gravity? It looked impossible. But Marcus had no choice. This was the only way to reach the trapped engineers. He walked up to the beam and placed both gloved hands under it. The metal felt ice cold. The exosuit's sensors detected the weight almost immediately. Estimated mass, 540 kilograms. Marcus groaned. Could have guessed. He positioned his feet, let the stabilizer brace lock into place, and slowly lifted. At first, the beam didn't budge. The weight pressed down so hard that the servos whined in protest. Heat built inside the exosuit's limbs. "Come on," Marcus muttered, pushing harder. The beam moved a few centimeters. Then a few more. With one last surge of strength, Marcus lifted it high enough to wedge one end against the wall. The beam balanced, leaving a narrow space under it. Not safe. Passable. Marcus crawled underneath. Once through, he stood again and checked his suit. The strain indicators were spiking into yellow. "Just hold together a bit longer," he whispered to the machine. He pushed open the next door with his shoulder and entered the gravity regulator chamber. The sight before him was chaos. The heart of the room was a tall, cylindrical machine glowing with unstable red light. Electricity ran wild across its surface. The entire device shook violently, as if trying to tear itself apart, and on the far side of the chamber, 2 Thrixan engineers lay collapsed behind a broken console. Struggling to breathe, Marcus rushed toward them. "Hang on," he called. One of the engineers looked up weakly. "Human, please help." "I'm here," Marcus said, kneeling beside them. The gravity here was even stronger, almost crushing. The exosuit system screamed alerts, but he focused on the task. He lifted the first engineer gently over his shoulder. The Thrixan weighed almost nothing normally, but under the gravity spike. Marcus felt the load dragging him downward. His knees shook. The stabilizer brace clicked violently as it absorbed the force. The exosuit's voice echoed. "Warning, approaching maximum load capacity." But Marcus ignored it. Step by heavy step, he carried the first engineer across the chamber and out the door. He set them safely in the corridor where gravity was slightly lighter. He returned for the second, halfway across. The regulator made a deafening sound like metal screaming. The entire room shifted violently. Marcus staggered as gravity fluctuated again. Upward, downward, sideways for a moment, like the room had become a whirlpool of invisible force. His vision blurred. His joints ached. The stabilizer brace sparked, but he didn't drop the engineer. Just a little more. Marcus grunted. He hid behind a steel support pillar, holding the Thrixan close as debris flew around the room in the gravity whirl. When the fluctuation settled for a brief second, he sprinted toward the door, his legs heavy as stone. He made it. Both engineers lay safely outside now. Breathing easier in the lower gravity corridor, Zelvori's voice came through urgently. "Engineer Hale, are they safe?" "Yes," Marcus said, panting. "But the gravity regulator is tearing itself apart. If it fails, the whole station could collapse." "Yes," Zelvori answered softly. "We are aware." Marcus looked back into the chamber. The regulator pulsed with dangerous red light. Energy waves rippled across the room. The gravity around it twisted violently. It was going to explode or implode. Either way, Horizon Point wouldn't survive. "What's the plan?" Marcus asked, bracing himself. "You must manually activate the emergency stabilizer rods," Zelvor said. "The automatic systems have failed." "Where are they?" "Inside the regulator core." Marcus stared at the unstable machine. Of course they are. He stepped into the chamber again. His suit groaned loudly. Struggling to maintain balance, the emergency rods were located near the base of the regulator. 3 heavy metal levers that needed to be pulled down in a specific order. But when Marcus approached the first rod, the gravity surged again. The regulator unleashed a pulse that slammed him against the opposite wall. The exosuit cushioned the impact, but the force left him dazed. He pushed himself up. The room spun. Gravity shifted sideways again, pulling him toward the floor at an angle. His boots slid. Sparks rained from above, but Marcus marched forward. Zelvor's voice trembled through the cum. Humanity continues to exceed expectations. Marcus reached the first stabilizer rod and pulled it down. The lever resisted at first, but with a determined grunt, he forced it into place. The regulator flickered less unstable now, one down. Marcus shouted. He reached the second rod, gripping it tightly. Gravity tried to drag him away, but he planted his feet firmly. The stabilizer brace locked into full support mode, anchoring him like a metal pillar. He yanked the lever. The room shook. The red lights dimmed a little. 2 down. Only one more, but the final lever was, half buried, under fallen debris, a chunk of the upper walkway. Marcus approached it and sighed. Always the hard way. He grabbed the metal chunk and heaved it upward. The exosuit screamed warnings. Red indicators flashed across the visor. The stabilizer brace shook violently, but he lifted it enough to throw it aside. He reached for the final lever, grabbed it, and pulled with all his strength. Come on, come on. With a loud metallic clang, the final stabilizer snapped into place. The regulator pulsed once bright blue. Then it stabilized. The wild gravity flattened into a steadiest calm pressure. The sparks stopped. The shaking ended. Zelvori's voice rose with overwhelming relief. You have done it. Horizon Point is safe. Marcus leaned against the wall, exhausted. His exosuit hissed as cooling systems caught up. The stabilizer brace glowed faintly from overheating, but he smiled. All in a day's work. He said softly as he walked out of the regulator chamber. Thrixan medics and scientists rushed to him. Some had glowing skin showing admiration. Others bowed their heads in respect. Zelvori arrived moments later, running faster than Marcus had ever seen a Thrixan run. Their skin shone bright turquoise, pure thanks and pride. Engineer Hale, Zelvori said, voice thick with emotion. You have saved our workers, our station, and our hope. Marcus shrugged awkwardly. Just did what needed to be done, Zelvori said firmly. Only a human could have done what you did. Only you. The Thrixans around them murmured in agreement. Today, humanity had shown its strength not physical alone, but in courage, determination, and willingness to help others. The galaxy would remember. But Marcus didn't know that. Even greater challenges, an even greater HFY moment were coming in Part 5. After the gravity regulator stabilized and the emergency alarms finally went silent, Horizon Point felt calm again. Lights stopped flickering, the floors stopped shaking. The strange pressure that had pushed everyone down slowly faded away. But for Marcus Hale, the day was far from over. Repairs still needed to be made. Systems needed to be checked. And Zelvor had called him to the main strategy chamber for an urgent meeting. Marcus walked through the corridors, his exosuit now running in low-power mode. Panels still glowed red from earlier overheating. The stabilizer brace around his waist clicked weakly with every step. Clearly exhausted. Still, he moved forward as he reached the strategy chamber door. It slid open to reveal Zelvori and 6 other senior Thrixan scientists. A large hologram hovered above the center table, showing a massive, swirling cloud of energy near the outer border of the station. What's going on now? Marcus asked, rubbing the back of his neck. Zelvori gestured toward the hologram. A spatial storm. It formed because of the gravity spikes we experienced. We stopped the regulator from exploding. But the earlier instability has created a dangerous anomaly outside the station. Marcus stepped closer to the projection. The energy cloud shifted sharply, throwing bright sparks of light. Is it getting stronger? Yes, another scientist answered. If the storm reaches full strength, its gravity waves could tear Horizon Point apart from the outside. Marcus frowned. So we need to stop it. Zelvori nodded. Correct. But no machine can approach it. Our drones cannot survive its pull. Our ships would be crushed. We cannot enter the storm. Marcus understood the silence that followed. They were waiting for him to say something. He raised an eyebrow. Let me guess you think a human can? Zelvori tapped the stabilizer brace on Marcus's exosuit. The device we studied your body's natural gravity tolerances, not a myth. Humans can move in unstable gravity better than any species we know. And with this suit, you may be able to get close enough. Marcus sighed. Of course, another impossible task. Zelvori stepped closer. Their glowing eyes softened with worry. You do not have to do this. But Marcus shook his head. No, I'll do it. If the storm destroys the station, everyone here will die. We can't let that happen. Scientists exchanged hopeful looks. Zelvori exhaled with relief. Then we will give you everything you need. An hour later, Marcus stood in an airlock at the station's outer edge. His exosuit had been strengthened extra plating, reinforced joints, boosted stabilizers, and a magnetic anchor attached to his boots. The Thrixan engineers had done everything they could. Zelvori stood beside him, hands slightly shaking. The storm is unpredictable, they said softly. You will feel strong waves of gravity pulling you in different directions. If it becomes too much, turn back. Marcus sealed his helmet. I'll manage. Zelvor placed a hand on the exosuit's arm. Humanity continues to surprise us. Whatever happens, thank you. Marcus offered a small smile. Let's make sure there's a later so you can thank me again. The airlock opened. A powerful wind pulled outward. Bright swirling energy in the far distance shone like a storm made of stars. The metallic platform beneath Marcus vibrated wildly, but he walked forward. Every step toward the anomaly increased the weight on his shoulders. The gravity waves hit like invisible tides, sometimes heavy, sometimes sideways. Sometimes pulling him upward with surprising force. The stabilizer brace worked overtime. Glowing orange with heat, the suit's voice warned him repeatedly, gravity at unsafe levels. Joint systems overheating, brace approaching maximum capacity. Marcus kept moving. Zelvori. I'm halfway there, he said through the cum. Zelvori's voice crackled. Your readings are unstable. You must hurry, Marcus. The storm roared ahead, a spinning mass of blue, white, and purple energy. Lightning like arcs shot across space, tearing small rocks apart. Even space itself looked distorted, bending and stretching like waves in water. Marcus reached the outer edge of the storm and anchored. His boots to the metal platform drilled into the hole. His suit almost buckled under the gravity spike. Okay, he breathed. I'm here. Zelvor answered. You must activate the gravity dampener beacon. Place it directly into the storm's outer field. It will calm the energy. Marcus pulled the beacon from his belt. It was a glowing sphere covered in Thrixan inscriptions. He took a deep breath, stepped toward the storm. The moment his boot left the anchor, a violent gravity surge slammed into him from the side. He was thrown off the platform, spinning in midair. Alarms blared. The stabilizer brace screamed with strain. Marcus grabbed a support cable and pulled himself back to the platform. His arms felt like they weighed hundreds of kilograms. Still alive, he muttered. Let's try that again. This time he braced his legs, leaned forward, and pushed into the storm's edge. Gravity waves hit him constantly, shifting direction faster than he could react. His exosuit bent under the pressure. The visor shook. The magnetic boots buzzed loudly, struggling to hold onto the platform. Zelvoria's voice trembled. Marcus, your readings are critical. Marcus gritted his teeth. Just need a few more steps. He lifted the beacon and pushed it into the storm. The energy fought him, pushing him back. His boots dragged lines across the metal platform. As the gravity waves tried to lift him into the air, Marcus roared with effort and shoved the beacon forward. The device sank into the swirling energy. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then from deep inside the storm, a bright white pulse exploded outward. Gravity instantly flattened into a calm, steady pull. The swirling clouds slowed. The lightning arcs vanished. The storm collapsed inward like a dying flame. Horizon Point was safe. Marcus exhaled and slumped to his knees. The stabilizer brace smoked lightly from overheating. Zelvor's voice broke into the cum, filled with emotion. Marcus, are you unharmed? All limbs attached, he answered tiredly. Storm's gone. A sound came through the cum, half laughter, half crying. Return quickly. Everyone is waiting for you. When Marcus walked back through the airlock, the station erupted in cheers. Thrixans of every color and rank waited in the corridor, applauding him with glowing hands. Some held banners. Others held light crystals in celebration. Zell's single quotes for at the front, eyes shining brighter than ever. "You have saved Horizon Point," Zelvori said. "Not once, but twice. There is no honor great enough for what you have done." Marcus rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "Hey, you all helped. I just walk into dangerous things a lot." Zelvori shook their head. "No, this is humanity's gift. Your courage, your strength, your refusal to give up even when the storm itself fights you." They stepped forward and bowed deeply, a gesture of highest respect among the Thrixans. Marcus immediately waved his hands. "Whoa, no bowing. I'm just a mechanic." Zelvori smiled gently. "To us, you are more." The crowd cheered again. Some rushed forward, placing glowing patches on Marcus's suit, a sign of gratitude in their culture. Others touched the stabilizer brace, marveling at how such a small device helped a human do the impossible. Marcus looked at all of them, scientists, engineers, workers, and survivors, and felt an unexpected warmth in his chest. He had come to Horizon Point as a simple exosuit mechanic. Now, he was something. ELSE, hero, a symbol, proof of what a human could do. Zelvor looked at him with pride. "Marcus Hale, the galaxy will remember this day. And it will remember the human who saved us all." Marcus smiled. "Then let's make sure the next day is just as good." And Horizon Point shone brighter than ever.